Hi, I'm Sherry Maskell. I'm the Executive Director of the Hill Center. My 27th year there, and it's my life's passion, so it's a great place. This is Michelle Sparrow. She's the Chief Financial Officer and Associate Director. We're kind of a team. We're a great team where I'm the educator and she's the financial person, so we work together. So we're going to share the presentation. For over 35 years, the Hill Center has been transforming students into we're transforming students who are...
Excuse me,
Oh, it's not working. Sorry.
We will start the timer. Yeah.
Please do.
Please do.
So your group say?
Yeah, it's this one here, the last one. Sorry about that. For over 35 years, the Hill Center has been transforming students who are struggling into confident, independent learners. Starting as a school in 1977, we created a half-day intensive remediation program for students who learn differently, allowing them to receive the extra help they needed while still being enrolled in the regular education classroom. As practitioners, we developed strategies and curriculum based on the latest research findings. Each year, pre- and post-testing our students to document their progress, and we began to see change and trends in their development. After 20 years of documented success, we decided to reach out beyond our walls and share our successful techniques by training public school teachers in our Hill methodology, allowing us to serve a broader and more diverse population. Our 2010 5-year strategic plan emphasizes innovation, partnerships, and sustainability. Of course, every child expects and deserves to learn how to read when they start school. Reading is a basic tool critical to school success. According to a noted reading researcher, Louisa Moats, teaching a child to read is rocket science. It takes the expertise of a trained professional to make that difference, especially if a student is struggling and falling behind. In a recent Annie E. Casey study of 4,000 students, it was found that students who don't read proficiently by 3rd grade are 4 times more likely to drop out of school than proficient readers. Once a student learns to read, the door is open to them. They can access the curriculum. But for 20% of students, that door remains closed, condemning them to school failure and to possibly dropping out. Hill knows how to solve this societal problem. As a nonprofit, we are focused on training and certifying teachers in our program model, the Hill Reading Achievement Program, or what we call Hill RAP. We offer an internationally accredited certification for our teachers, which is aligned with the National Common Core standards. The instructional components of our program follow the National Reading Panel, which includes teaching phonological awareness, phonics, fluency, reading comprehension, all in a very sequential, structured language approach. Our goal is to train teachers effectively to implement our methodology. We offer support, we offer mentoring, we observe them in their classroom to ensure fidelity to implementation. We create a universal database. It allows us to electronically assess our students, to create individualized lesson plans, to monitor mastery of skills, and to report student progress. While working closely with RTI International and Duke University and UNC Wilmington, we have 11 independent research studies documenting our program effectiveness. Our latest project that we just completed and the accompanying research study of over 300 students, which was funded by the Robertson Foundation, showed that the number of students who were performing at the lowest level, you can see that in blue, was cut in half after only 1 year of participation in Hill RAP. If students are equipped with the tools they need to succeed in school and graduate, they will be prepared to attend post-secondary school. College becomes an option for them, where before their lack of skills was a barrier to their future success. We can have a better prepared workforce, which translates into improved economic outcomes, but we must invest in helping children achieve in school. Many students are placed in special education simply because they can't learn to read. Special education services cost twice as much as regular education. We have the solution to first minimize the need for special education, reduce the dropout rate, and cut the number of incarcerations. Giving teachers the tools they need to help students overcome skill deficits, master critical material, and achieve success in school is a true societal imperative. We also have the capacity to train more teachers, empower them to make a difference in the lives of students who are struggling in school. We have an engaged and active board with significant experience in scale-up and research, with members from the business community, nonprofits, public education, and universities. Our management team is strong and experienced with diverse educational backgrounds and expertise. An integral part of our program is the Model School, which provides what we call proof of concept, with practicing teachers delivering content for our workshops. The center's new teacher training facility, with state-of-the-art distance learning capabilities, allows us to offer content both face-to-face and remotely. With established partnerships with funders and school districts, we have a proven track record in fundraising and extensive research documenting gains in student achievement.
We're going to employ 4 strategies for our scale-up efforts. The first and the key is to train more teachers. Currently, we have certified 210 teachers in 4 school districts serving over 3,000 students a year. Over the next 3 years, we plan to train an additional 636 teachers in 9 new school districts, serving approximately 28,000 students. And we're going to be focusing our training efforts in Eastern North Carolina. Our second strategy is to leverage existing relationships. We will leverage implementing school district relationships. For example, last month, we had a potential school district that we invited to an existing school district, and they did observations on the teachers. And now we have a contract with that new school district to train 27 teachers. Hill will utilize a geographic clustering approach targeting Eastern North Carolina. Clustering intensifies the sphere of influence among the school districts, building a strong network of stakeholders. The list on the slide shows some of our foundations and corporations who have supported us, and we plan to leverage funding from these and other existing supporters. The third strategy is building new relationships. We have employed the help of a former North Carolina superintendent who is actually out knocking on doors, engaging new school districts. And as you can see from the district map, this is Eastern North Carolina, we have 3 existing Hill projects going on. We have 8 who have committed pending funding availability. 18 have preliminary information, and 3 have expressed interest in our programs. Certainly we're going to be seeking new funding partners as well, and we're going to utilize our engaged board and well-connected board and current funders to help us get entree with other potential supporters. Fully utilizing technology and expanding distance learning is our 4th strategy. Currently, we have 4 existing online courses that we developed, and we are going to be adding 3 new online courses for the fall. As you can see on the screen, we have a trainer conducting a classroom observation via video conferencing from our new teacher training facility. So this can be accomplished from anywhere in the world. We have developed a web-based data collection system. It includes electronic forms, student assessments, and allows tracking student progress on a daily basis. Therefore, principals, administrators, and teachers have direct access to real-time student information from which they can make data-driven decisions. We estimate our scaling capital requirements will be $11 million. Capacity building required will be about $1 million. Funding for new district implementation, $4.7 million. Independent evaluation costs are estimated to be $2.4 million. Sustainability support, $700,000. Administration and fundraising will be about $2.2 million. Of the $11 million needed for our scaling plan, we have identified or committed resources of $3.7 million. The remaining $7.3 million will come from grant funding sources, $4.8 from foundations, corporations, and individuals, and $2.5 from government grant sources. So for the $11 million 3-year scale up, Hill will serve a total of 13 school districts, 846 teachers, impacting over 28,000 struggling students at a small cost of $392.
It's our final slide. This is Alex, who I got to know, and he says, I feel great about the Hill Center. I've learned about dividing words that you do not know, and I've learned a lot about rules. We've learned to sound out words. It does make me a better reader. I think now he's going to be a successful student. Thank you.
Hi, great. Thank you very much for your presentation. Very, very interesting and exciting progress that you're making. One of the primary objectives, my understanding, is that you're really trying to reach out and recruit and train more teachers. Can you talk a little bit more in detail about how you are going to identify and capture that audience and get them trained up? What's the hook?
How do we identify the teachers in our community?
Yeah, and recruit them into your program.
I think word's beginning to spread with all the emphasis on high-stakes testing. In North Carolina's EOGs, different states. Principals are now looking for solutions. Before they were buying kits from, I think, publishers, but it just didn't make a difference. And I think the teachers need kind of a systematic methodology and approach to reach these kids. I think our 11 or 12 research studies have really documented that we can make that difference. We're closing the gap. And we find teachers, they are hungry for information. They want to learn about how to help kids. And so many times they come out of college without the skills. They have some general training about how to work with kids, but unless there's some real expertise and methodology and a systematic approach, they're just not reaching these kids. So I think hiring the superintendent, we have our consultant superintendent, who talks the talk. She goes out to the schools and talks to them and says, you know, this is what we have to offer. This is what we can do. And the word's starting to spread, I think, just because of our documented approach and our research now, people are really catching on. We've also implemented this model in Colorado, in Geneva. We have replication sites. We have one in 2 in North Carolina and 1 in El Salvador. So we have done this, and we're starting to see that teachers are excited about this kind of information. They can make a difference.
Thank you for the presentation. I really liked in the proposal the way you talked about what the management literature said about scaling up, and clearly your board has put a lot of time into thinking this through. But what I'd like to hear about is, what does this change during the day for the students? Because I didn't get a sense from the proposal of how, if you were a kid in a Tier 1 diagnosis, how would your day be different as a result of being a Hill program?
Good question. Rather than, sometimes there's 2 different approaches to how they work with these kids that are struggling. Either they'll go off in a self-contained room and have some kind of approach, and there might be 8 or 10 or 12 kids. Or they can really work with somebody in a really intensive remediation session. So what we set up is a 4-to-1 intensive remediation session with a teacher trained. They go through components with the 4 students, and each teacher does the same. There's a real fidelity to what we do. So the child's day looks like a 45-minute intensive remediation session, and they will go through each of the components listed by the National Reading Panel. So we'll do phonological awareness, we do fluency, we do comprehension, and it's all individualized, and it moves very sequentially in small bits of information towards mastery. We know exactly what that child needs to learn to read. We're not just glossing over it or hoping if we read to them that they're going to learn to read. 20% of the population learns differently, and they need that systematic approach. So their day looks very systematic in terms of that 45-minute, probably 4 or 5 days a week in a very structured remediation session.
So how much time are they with the whole class, and how much time are they with kids like them with all of the fears about not mainstreaming and labeling, et cetera?
If they're just going to have remediation in reading, it's 45 minutes. If it's math, 45 minutes. Sometimes we combine reading and written language, so they could have either between 45 minutes and an hour. So it really just depends on what kind of remediation they need. But typically they would be in their regular classroom most of the day, but an hour to an hour and a half of intensive remediation. The point is it has to be consistent, it has to be each day, it has to be something that the child can really count on that builds those skills. And we're really in there diagnosing where are the weaknesses. What do we need to fix? Do they know OO? Do they know OU? Do they know all their phonics? You know, we kind of go in there and tweak and fix those small bits of information so they do understand the language and how it works.
Great, thank you. I want to just give you some kudos for your business plan. Very well written, and I felt like maybe I should go back into teaching or something. Very nice. My question is, when does the model become more financially sustainable with fee-for-service? Even 2 years from now, it's still, I'd say, as a foundation, corporate, government-funded model, which may limit your scaling ability.
Well, the model is, the fundamental foundation of it is the teacher certification. And there are 4 levels of teacher certification. What we go in initially is level 1, which we teach and train the teacher how to teach reading. Level 2 is training a teacher to mentor other teachers that are in their first year of teaching. And then level 3 is a mastery, and level 4 is a trainer of trainer. So it's a trainer of trainer model. Eventually, you want to have trainers within that school system that can train their own teachers. Unfortunately, that takes 4 to 5 years to reach that status. So the funding for at least the first several years is critical for them to get off the ground, especially in these economic times. For example, in North Carolina, there is 0 professional development dollars for schools. So they are having to come up with ways to fund professional development if we can't come in. So for example, the school that I told you about that visited another school, and now we're going to train 27 teachers in their elementary schools, they found some money, and we found some money to help leverage that. So sometimes they are able to use funding from their Title I funds, SIP monies. We go in and we try to help them find funding, but some of these school districts are really struggling because they're having to cut teachers. So it is difficult, but the model, our model, is based on the sustainability with the training component, and that's our fidelity check as well as the sustainability for after we leave, basically.
So in your financial plan, how many people would be involved in that business development aspect? You know, considering that hopefully you can get the funding to do the trainings. How many people in your plan are allocated to going out and knocking on doors, signing up districts, signing up teachers? Right
now we have 2. And one of them is a former superintendent, as I said, and the other one is, has been trained in Hill Center and has contacts with different schools because she used to work in public schools. And we're targeting the eastern part of the state because we've got a foothold there. And we also have partnered with UNCW, and they do outreach programs placing students in their education programs into 14 school districts around them. So we are using them to help us get entree as well. So it's been a real partnership of various people and organizations to really bring that to light. So not only do we have 2 people working on that, but we have these other partners that are helping us with that as well.
I know that your focus is on North Carolina, but and you have some replication that's happened in other parts of the country and internationally. Over the long term, as you think about earned income and how to be more sustainable, what role will replication or being a technical assistance provider or selling your model to other not directly doing the training in your backyard, but really using your technology backbone to disseminate your model more nationally, internationally. Does that factor in at all?
Yes, we are doing trainings from our site. We have, because of the state-of-the-art facility, we have cameras and microphones in all of our training rooms so that we can have a program going on in North Carolina, but it is broadcast. It can be broadcast anywhere in the world. We can also tape every workshop that we are conducting at the Hill Center, and then we can have it be viewed online as well. So it's a way, one of the things that we do for teachers for their training is we have all of the teachers going through certification can go online and access video of teachers actually teaching the components. So if they forget or if they have problems or they're unsure that they're doing it right, they can go online on our website and see each of the components, how it's done, without even having to contact us. So we are trying to utilize technology as much as we can because we know that's a more cost-effective way to deliver our services, as well as being able to deliver to a broader audience. And I think we just ran out of time.